Hello and welcome back to the podcast. This is a different type of episode this week. Less of the sales, account management and agency chatter. And we're going to be talking today about mental health and the topic of mental health and how that's accelerated, particularly over the last 12 months, what it means, and perhaps a couple of stories from both of our sides. I know this is a topic that you're very vocal about. Just want to touch briefly, we don't claim to be experts about mental health. I think that's probably one of the main problems. There's a lot of miseducation out there, but I believe having these sort of conversations is probably going to be very beneficial, not only just for me and you, but for anybody that's listening. Chris and I are working and living in the same space at the moment. He's renting my spare bedroom. So for anybody wondering why these last couple of podcasts haven't been virtual. So let's get straight into it. The topic of mental health, as I say, you've been very vocal, and I know you post about it on LinkedIn quite a lot and you share that type of content. So talk to us about what mental health means to you and what we're trying to do here with this podcast.
Cool, good intro, Jake. Thank you. Hello, guys. Just touching on Jake. Unfortunately, the cost of this dodgy haircut wasn't included in the rent money, but we go again. But yeah, so the topic of mental health was something that we've gone to and fro with each other as to whether we should touch on this.
Yeah.
Whether it be should be as soon in a new podcast, and whether we have any right to talk about it. I guess.
Exactly. That was my concern at the start, because I don't want to seem like here we're preaching.
Yes.
But you obviously persuaded me that it's not about preaching. It's just about having that open up the dialogue around the conversation.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. And listen, just echoing Jay, we are no experts. We would never pretend to be that. But I think people are scared to talk about it. I think that's why I want to bring it to the forefront, have a chat about it, especially given the current lockdown situation. This is incredibly hard, guys. Like, we're no inspirational leaders, nothing like that. But I've found it hard. This has been one of the toughest times of all of our lives. People are being affected in different ways. There's the knock-on effect of the economy and working in furlough. There's the social knock-on effect, people that like going out. There's a sport effect.
Yep.
There's the entertainment side of it. There's less things on TV. Live sport was impacted.
Yeah.
And it's just that we need to have a better understanding of everybody as people.
Yeah.
And I've had to learn that. I'm an only child. Anybody that knows me, I'm like one of the most selfish people when it comes to I hate sharing Chinese, nothing like that. So I've had to make a real effort with not getting to know my friends is not the right saying, but really making an effort to be proactive with talking to them, because there's a knock-on effect to me that they will be there more for me.
Yeah.
And also I've been scared to talk about issues to my friends, let alone to other people outside of my comfort circle.
Yeah.
But talking about issues has really helped me with my family and friends. And I think that more and more people are starting to do this. And I think the one thing that scares me is that we are, the pandemic and where we are with the world, that we're not just losing people, in terms of the virus.
Yeah.
We're losing people out of our lives through
Isolation.
Yeah. And that's terrifying, because our friends and family are there to support us, we're there to support them.
We don't want to forget about that side of what's happening with the virus.
Absolutely not.
Sorry, mate.
That's right. I mean, yeah. So we just want to put it out there that it is okay to talk about your feelings, where you are. Even with your employer, there's special initiatives and regimes in place now for people to be in these type of circles, share their stories, comfort one another, and be okay with putting yourself out there a bit more. Say, listen, I'm not all right.
Yeah.
Because there is no shame in that, guys. And listen, it's not, it's hard to talk about because we're not trying to inspire people. But come on, let's show a bit of empathy towards one another, because this might not be over for months.
For a long time. No, you're absolutely right, mate. And I think not just over the last 12 months with the pandemic, mental health really as a topic in general and as a subject feels very misunderstood. I'm the first to admit I don't know a lot about the topic of mental health, but obviously because you start seeing it more and more over the last 3, 4, 5 years, maybe a bit longer, where companies now are incorporating these practices that you've just said there, where they have to support their employees, because grown men fully grown men with 2 kids and whoever it might be, maybe struggling at work, inside might be feeling some anxiety, some depression, whatever it might be, even though their home life on the face of it looks great from the outsider, you don't know what's going on the inside. You don't know how people are feeling inside and the way they interact with other people and things like that. And so we're very quick to be judgmental. I think obviously it's a changing landscape with mental health as a topic. I saw a really good phrase the other day on social media. It just said mental health is health. And that's absolutely true, because we think of health and we think of how fast can you do a 5k, or can you swim 10 lengths, or whatever it might be. But it's more than that. Health is how you feel on a day-to-day basis, your highs, your lows. Are you stressed out? Are you feeling anxious about going to a new job? Whatever it might be. So it's an important topic. How, for you, over the last 12 months, have you felt that the mental health chat has accelerated, or do you feel like people are still very scared to mention about it, even though it's so obvious that more people are struggling now?
Yeah, I think that there's two folds. This one, it is more out there than ever. There's no doubt about it. You know, there's some incredible celebrities that are, you know, getting behind it and talking about it openly, about their struggles. I think I think about Kit Harington being one from Game of Thrones. When they stopped filming that, he struggled to come to the terms of that being over. And you think, you know, this is a guy who's had an all-star TV role as Jon Snow in one of the best shows of all time. How can he struggle?
Yeah.
So you hear things like that and think, you know what, like, you know, it's okay to not be okay at times.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that there's more initiatives out there. You know, World Mental Health Day, you know, on LinkedIn is so powerful and inspiring. Like, I love some of the quotes that you see. It's just like you want to stop your day and just admire. And people are speaking more in little networks. I do still think though it's not, you know, people are afraid to approach it with their friends because they're frightened of the backlash at times. And you know,
banter perhaps.
You know, WhatsApp group chats can be a cause for that. And I think, you know, one of the reasons why we wanted to approach this, we want to try and, you know, potential combat techniques for this, that, you know, little mini WhatsApp group chats where you just have a little support network to talk in, check in daily, weekly, whenever that might be, whatever you're comfortable with, that can be one way around it. Sign up to, you know, some of the mental health newsletters that are about, follow some of the people on LinkedIn, you know, we can post some of those. And just don't be afraid, because, you know, your family as well, they're the closest ones to you, they know you best, they'll know that something's up. And listen, it's alright to be like this, or however you may be.
Definitely, and I just want to touch on that as well. These apps now, Headspace, Calm, those sorts of things, they're apps designed now to let you take a breather from the everyday life, you know, put a story on, or take 10 minutes deep breathing, whatever that might be. It's just 10 minutes of your day, whether it be in the morning or last thing at night. I use it and it just allows you to take a few deep breaths, release some of that stress that might be pent up from the day's work. You don't know how each day is going to go. You might have a really good day at work, then have a terrible day at work, but each night just need a way to release some stress. It might be having a bath every night. It might be reading a book. You need to find some little escapes for you that work just for you. It might be going for a walk on your own, or whatever it might be, listening to music, so that you can get more in tune with how you feel and start, as you say, combating those feelings with some different methods and techniques. As I say, absolutely no expert here, but for me, on a personal level, I love having a bath in the evening.
I've noticed,
you noticed as well, living here, shouting through the bathroom door at me. But I take a book in there, put a bit of music on. Elton John would be my choice of preference, and it's just 30-45 minutes, mate, with a few bubbles in there. You know, I'm not afraid to
too much.
I'm not afraid to share. The bubbles are flowing in there. But them 35-40 minutes, I need those 40 minutes sometimes, because you have a stressful day. You know, we deal with clients all the time. We're dealing on a performance basis all the time, and for me, that is my outlet. Might not work for other people, as I say, but you're right. It's people. There's a miseducation, I think, of understanding what it is. So then people don't know how to react to it when they feel like they do.
Yeah, I think you're spot on. Listen, this whole thing has matured maybe over the past 10, 15 years. I'm not going to pretend to know the history of it in detail. Don't. But you know, I know years ago, people might have been, you know, dealt with very differently if they'd just spoken about this 20 years ago. But mental health is health, like you said, is spot on. You know, it's a real thing with GPs and the NHS and everything like that. And also, what you touched on there was really important. That everybody is different. Personality types. I mean, you've known me since we went to school, like secondary school together. I'm 100 miles an hour all the time. My family know that. I struggle to, relax at times, which works in my favour at times when I need to have high energy.
Yeah.
But when I try and relax, there's a knock-on effect to that. So I have to find a way to combat that, especially now when there's nothing to go and do. I just have to play FIFA and try and whoop Jake at that.
Doesn't happen.
It doesn't happen, but we still try.
Yeah, exactly. It's just about trying, isn't it?
Exactly. But listen, you have to forge your own path. You have to understand, or try and understand a little bit more about yourself, which can be tough. Maybe take 5 minutes and understand, what makes me tick, what's stressing me out.
Yeah.
Speak to people about how you can potentially combat that.
And eliminate those.
Yeah.
Because if you start recognising what's stressing you out, it might be another person, it might be your job, as long as you start recognising what is making you feel the way you do, whether you feel down or you feel high. We want to do more of the things that make us feel good and less of the things that make us feel bad, right? Yeah. And so if you can start working out over a period of time what is making you feel the way you do, then you can obviously start doing less of those things or more of those things based on how you feel and things like that. Yeah. So, eliminating those sort of things that get to you is important.
Yeah, and keep it simple. I mean, you don't have to go out there and there's no, it doesn't need to be yoga or Pilates or whatever that, it might work for some people, I get that. But, these, whatever the extravagant lengths are, you don't need to do that to combat this. You probably just need to talk a little bit to the people you trust.
Yeah.
And again, you have to work out who you do trust and who you are comfortable with. That is a huge thing when you start stepping forward. Yeah. Because this is why people are scared, because you leave yourself exposed.
Yeah.
You're showing a weakness to some of your friends and family, and I'm very lucky where I've got a circle around me, and as do you, where that's in place, but some people don't have that network. So that's when you start looking at external things in these groups. That those are out there, guys. If you are in that situation, again, if you need to know anything about that, we can point you in the right direction. But we're keep caveating that we're not experts. We're just two chaps trying to talk about this and raise a bit of awareness from what we can. Just can't stress. In terms of key takeaways for this, it's just don't be afraid to talk. Don't be afraid to not be okay. Don't be afraid to learn about this, because this is a maturing health topic.
100%.
Healthy mind, healthy living.
Yeah.
And that's sort of a really good summary for me, I think.
You're absolutely right, and I'll just touch on that, saying that, try and find out what's making you feel the way you do. Speak to one friend, if it helps. Speak to a group of friends. Just find one person that you can maybe confide in, that anything goes, and it won't leave the circle. That anything you confide in me and vice versa doesn't leave the friendship, if it doesn't have to leave the friendship. Or we've got other very close friends and it doesn't leave circles outside of that. So it's a lot placed on trust in friends and your family and your workplace as well. We spend a lot of time with our colleagues, right? And we spend a lot of time with our seniors and our bosses and things like that. And a lot of times they can sort of tell. You can sort of tell when someone at work's having a bad day, can't you? When the way they're behaving, but you can't tell if it's a one-off sometimes, or if they are struggling at home or what, and them things. And it's being empathetic and not having to go at these people. And you sort of just having a conversation, saying, "You feeling okay? Anything you want to say off the record?" Or you said companies, they're getting things more in place, and it's only going to advance over the next 5 years. Going back to our grandparents' era. So you hear it all the time when they say, back in my day, didn't even exist mental health. But it's not a new thing. It's always existed. It's just like back then, nobody spoke about it because it was all tough and upper lip stuff, wasn't it? But now everyone's, particularly with social media, is being affected by this. With the social media thing, just touch on that quickly, not to go into a lot of depth. You're seeing, I think, you see a lot of a window into people's lives, or what it looks like on the outside. A lot of holidays, a lot of fantastic relationships, or whatever it might be, and you might look at that and think, why am I not having that great life? Or whatever. But these are snapshots of what people are curating to show the world, and maybe putting on a front sometimes. And I feel like we shouldn't judge ourselves based on what we see on social media. I'm very bad at doing it in terms of I know it doesn't compare, but with other business leaders, and I read a lot of non-fiction business book stuff, and I think, why am I not at that stage yet? And it's just like, well, hang on, they went through struggles and things. You forget all the struggle to get to that point, and the lows and the whatever it might be. So it's understanding when you're actually being shown true life and not true life.
It's a journey. I think what you've just touched on there is like, not to go all philosophical on this, but we are all on our own journey. We learn, we fail, we screw up. That's all part of it. My parents have told me that many a time.
Yeah.
Probably more times than I've liked to. But we're all creating our own futures, and this ties into it, because you learn about yourself, you learn about how your mind operates, and how to apply yourself in future.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, there are a lot of pressures in the world. If you look at, I really don't want to touch on this, but the only thing I'll say is that influencers on Instagram need to take a serious amount of responsibility for the way that they portray things, because you don't know what impact that's going to have on other people. And again, they're under the spotlight, I get that.
Yeah.
But, social media is ultimately impacted a lot of people out there.
Yeah, of course it is.
As much as it's a huge marketing tool, it is. But
you need to use it in the right way, don't you?
yeah, you do. Listen, we've all done daft things on it. There's no point, lying about that at some point or other. But again, it's these platforms, and if you do feel like these are risks to you in your mental health, then take a break from it. There's no shame in that.
Yeah,
Step away. I've done it enough times, and
you delete the apps, didn't you? And then it's what's funny about that is sometimes you delete Facebook or Instagram, wherever it might be, and then you stand in a bus stop or whatever, and it's been 2 weeks, and the first thing you do is you go to your phone and you start looking for the app, and you didn't even think about it, and you're like, where is it? Do you know what I mean? You're naturally drawn to these platforms now. They're very addictive, and they can get on top of people and affect people's mental health. So if you are struggling with it, take a breath and take a break. You happy to wrap it up?
Yeah, certainly am. Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you. There's going to be no plug, no mention of no branding or where to follow, nothing like that on this edition. It's not right given the topic. We just thank you if you listened, because this is an incredibly important topic. Don't be afraid, guys. Talk about it, learn about it, promote it, and let's try and move this forward. Cool. Thank you very much.